At ease, it's your boy Soul Immortal. I was talking to a brother a few days ago and he inquired about my experience at getting married at 21, right? Now, I thought that was kind of odd because I've only spoken about that maybe once or twice, right, on a video. But he proceeded to tell me about his situation. He said he was dating, his girl in his teenage years, got married around 2021 and stayed married for 10 years. And he said it got to the point where it felt like a prison. And I told the brother that I could relate. And then I began to share my story with him because mine was so similar to his. Now, at this point in life, I can easily talk about that situation. My ex-wife and I, we've both moved on to bigger and better things. We do a phenomenal job, as far as co-parenting for my son. So I can easily talk about that situation. But hearing that brother tell me, the stages of his relationship, I could identify with it, and I could relate to what he was saying. And I could specifically remember the point in my marriage where things just started to separate, where we started to just grow apart. We had been, pretty much a healthy Christian household the first part of the marriage. And as I began to just develop as a human, I began to just separate myself from all that. I began to separate myself from religion, politics. I began to spend more of my time in, community involvement and feeding the homeless. And again, we just started growing two separate ways, and neither one was right or wrong. They were just completely different separate ways. Now, looking back, I can easily say that the person I am today, as far as my freedom to be me, my freedom from religion and politics, I can easily say that I would not have those freedoms today if I was still in that situation. I can easily say that the places I've seen, the things I've experienced, as far as, being able to go to Cairo, Dubai, South Africa, hiking the Grand Canyon, skydiving, I can easily say those experiences would have happened if I was still in that situation. And hands down, I can easily say that Soul Immortal, the YouTube page Immortal Minds, would have never came to be if I was still in that situation. Now, I think back, and I always tell guys that, between 20 and 30 years old, you're going to be going through so many changes, so it's just not wise to get married and get in a relationship, before the ages of 27, 28, 29 years old, right? But when I think about it, I think about the changes that I went through between 20 and 30. I also went through changes between 30 and 40. And now that I'm 43, I can easily see that I'm going through changes between 40 and 50. So to be honest, a man never really stops growing. A man is always advancing, right? So when a man decides to get into a relationship, when a man decides to bond with a woman, to tie his souls with a woman, regardless of where she is in life, right? Is that his way of setting his anchor? You know what I'm saying? Do relationships stunt your growth? So yesterday, I'm watching a video of Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, right? And on this video, they were just having a slight disagreement. And, we all know that over the last 2 or 3 years, Kanye has been going through his transition of enlightenment, right? So he's sitting there talking to his wife, and I'm paraphrasing. He says, over the last few years, I've always liked this sexy image you've put out there. I've always liked the clothes you wear. But now I'm starting to see things different. He says, you're my wife, and I don't want everybody seeing that. And her response was, that's your enlightenment. Like you can't expect for me to change just because you're going through a period of growth, right? So what is a man supposed to do at this point? What is a man supposed to do when the person that he's bonded with is beginning to vibrate on a different frequency than the frequency that he has planned for his family? See, this is the point in a man's life where he has to decide between the mentality of happy wife, happy life, or continuing his path. You know what I'm saying? But the question is, can a relationship stunt your growth? And the answer is yes. hands down, that a man getting with a woman or just two people being together can stunt a person's growth. But it doesn't have to be like that. It can be avoided. And this is how. So the first way to avoid this is one, to first find yourself. Now, I've been sitting there saying that, a man shouldn't get into a serious relationship before the ages of, his mid-20s to 30s. But really, age is not the factor. The factor is a person coming to the knowledge of finding themselves, right? And the reason this is important is because, of course you're going to go through stages between 20 and 30, 30 and 40, 40 and 50, and on up. You're going to continue to go through stages. But once you find yourself, that core has been established. That foundation has been laid. And any growth going forward after that is going to follow that particular blueprint. So before you even get to that stage and know who you are, there's no sense of trying to have a long-term relationship, let alone a marriage, because you haven't even found yourself yet. Two, I'm going to have to say communication. Communication is imperative. Because see, once you found yourself, right, now you know who you are. Now, once you meet a person, from the word go, from the jump, you need to be communicating to this person who you are. And what I mean by that is what your core values are, your morals, like what are your goals? Because it's important that let's say you meet a woman, she might have dreams of having a house in the hills and having Lambos and all this, but in your mindset, your long-term goal is to become a minimalist. You know what I'm saying? So to avoid that whole conflict of different mindsets, communication is critical. But again, you have to first know yourself. Third, I'm going to say respecting each other's differences. A brother posted on a video I made the other day, and it says, I've been married for 35 years and I love it. However, my wife is a very religious woman from a small town in the Philippines. I could not have asked for anyone better. Now that says a lot, right? And it goes back to what the brother said at the beginning of the video. The brother said, this relationship just became a prison. And I could identify with it because during my marriage, but because we were informed, my relationship became a cage. It became a place where I was limited on my growth. You know what I'm saying? And I think respecting somebody else, the person you're with, respecting their differences is important. Now that doesn't mean that you two can't vibrate on the same frequency. It doesn't mean that you can't be Christian, she can't be Muslim, or she can't be Democrat and you can't be Republican. It's important to respect each other's differences, because the last thing you want is to be with a person, male or female, that feels like a prisoner, that feels like expansion is not an option. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Relationships blocking your growth. Yes, they do, but it can be avoided. It's your boy Soul Immortal, and I'm out.
Eddie!